It is wonderful to be back. And so I actually had another preach prepared. I'm hoping I could do it when I get back. But just the Lord kind of turned me in a different direction just about 2 days ago. And so I ended up building a new framework and a new subject, really. And something that I really felt He wanted us to get. And so the title of the preach is, the most important thing that a Christian must do. The most important thing that a Christian must do. And if I had to ask you that question, what is the most important thing? Like the one thing, the thing that tops everything else. What is the most important thing that a Christian must do? Not should do, must do. I thought of calling it should, but it's more than that. It's not just it's kind of should. It's the foundation of what it is to be a Christian, actually. And you think of different things that we could pick up on. Let me take my time, sorry. You can see I'm out of preaching. I know I can only go an hour and 3/4, so no joke. I'm kidding. So what is the most important thing? And I mean, people would probably say, well, to obey God, maybe, to worship Him, to serve Him. What would you say? What? Well, Jesus was asked this question. Actually, there was a Jewish teacher, a religious teacher, came to Jesus and asked him, like, what is the most important thing? Like, you're this teacher in Israel, and this man himself was a teacher in Israel in the Old Testament. What is the most important thing? And Jesus answered this question in Mark 12, verse 30. And that's what He said. This is the most important thing. And you'll love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind, and with all your strength. What's the most important thing? To love God, to love Him. What a powerful thing to say. Love is one of those words, it's kind of been cheapened somewhat in our culture. People say, I love you on the first date. But what does it mean to love God with everything? Like, with all your heart. It's like Jesus touches on every part of what it is to be human here. And basically every part of your and my humanity is supposed to love Him. And I love this word. He actually used the word agape, which often we've taught only God has got agape. This perfect love that just never seems to end. Nothing changes it. And He uses this word that we are to agape. We're to love God with everything that we are and everything that we have and everything that we will be. And probably the best example we have of genuine love is marriage. Because marriage is supposed to be this picture in our world of one man finding one woman. And out of everyone else on the planet, you're the one. And I don't want anyone else. I can't live with anyone else. I can't live without you, and I want to spend the rest of my life loving you. And so the picture we have in our world is marriage. It is the strongest picture of love because, you can date, you can have a lot of emotion, but to commit for the rest of your life until death you parts, to stay faithful and to love this person through thick and thin, good or bad, whatever it is, this is really the best picture we have of what it is to love someone within our broken, messed up, fallen world. And even that we do mess up. But this is the ideal of what love is, that we would love a person that way, that every one of us would learn and to have the joy of loving somebody like that. I remember, our story, I've been married now for how many years is it? I just didn't think about that before I asked it. You don't know either. It's about 32 years? 94. 31 years. We're going 31 years, yeah. 31 years. And, I remember just falling in love with him. So I just as I was thinking about how it felt, I was just reminding myself as preparing this preach. Because when I got saved, I'd always really loved girls. They were kind of like pretty much one of my high priorities was girls. And then when I got saved, I fell in love with God, like madly in love with God. And all my other loves started to just fade away. including actually my love for girls. And I remember loving God so much. I remember feeling I had no space left in my heart to love another person. All I wanted was to love Him. All I wanted was to know Him. I never wanted to be married. I was like, God, I don't want to get married. I want to just love you with every single part of me. And I thought I would never get married. There was no more space in me. Like God had absolutely won my heart. When I saw what He did in my life, when I saw how He saved me, when I saw His incredible love for me and who He was, I was like, I don't have space for anyone else. And this stayed, and amazingly for me, I just lost interest in girls. I lost interest in anything but God. I just wanted to know Him. I remember reading my Bible. I used to read my Bible sometimes 7 or 8 hours a day just to know Him. I worshiped. I wanted to know Him. I wanted to find His face. And then He was all I lived for, all I wanted to know. And then after about 4 years, I think it was, and I've been single for 4 years, and I was happy to stay single for the rest of my life. I never thought I'd have a marriage. I never thought I'd have a daughter. And I was fine with it. And then I was surfing a competition. I was surfing world champs. I was a good wave ski surfer. And we had our international world championships happening in our country. And I was represented to compete in this competition. And I remember it was at a place called East London, which is about 15 hours from where I lived. And I had a van that I'd built up, and I was staying in the van at this competition, and I'd surfed heats. I was doing quite well at that point. And I remember going to sleep one night between one of the days of the competition. And I was lying in my van, and I loved that van. And I remember thinking, you know what, Lord? I think I actually maybe want to get married. Like, I haven't looked at any girls for like 4 years. But there's a part of me that, like, you know what, maybe I think I want to get married. And I'm asking, and I remember this prayer. I was like, Lord, would you give me a beautiful, blonde, blue-eyed, short, I kind of want a short girl. And I hope she ages really well, Lord, and I hope she loves you. And I remember praying this prayer, and sometimes you pray a prayer, and when you know God, you know, sometimes you can ask, and it's like when you ask your dad for something, and it's like, yeah, nice try. But I knew that He heard my prayer. I knew. Like, I knew I was going to get married. At that point, I finished that prayer. I knew I was going to meet her. And I actually came back, and I told a good friend of ours, I'm going to get married. She's like, what do you mean? I said, no, I'm going to get married. I think I'm going to meet her within the month. And I'll be married within the year. And I met MC 10 days later. Actually, sorry, I met her about 3 days later. And I was working at a restaurant. I was trying to pay back a student loan. I'd studied law and left that to end up in ministry. And so I didn't finish law, so I had to pay back my student loan. So I was working as a waiter, and she came in with a friend. And when she first came in, she was nice, but then as I connected with her, one of the waiters was a friend of hers, and I was introduced. And I remember starting to fall in love with her. And it's so weird falling in love with her. It was like, she went from just a person that I met to, I didn't want to be without her, you know. And I remember just like I was praying in the mornings, and I asked her, hey, I normally get up really early and pray. Do you want to join me? And we started praying together early in the mornings. And 10 days after meeting her, I proposed. I knew she was the one. I had said, Lord, I don't want to date. I don't want to give my heart to this person and that person anymore. I've done that. I've been there, done that. I've bought the T-shirt. Lord, I want to find the right one. I think she's the right one. So I'm convinced she's the right one now because you heard my prayer. And Lord, I want to marry her. And you know, there's many regrets we can have. You know, my one regret is that I had not stayed pure before I knew Jesus. My one regret is that I had slept around, that I had given my heart to others. But when I gave my heart to her, it was something else. And I'll never forget, just when she said yes, it was like, I can't believe this. And I wanted to marry her within the month. I was like, okay, we're getting married in a month. And she was like, yeah. And then we spoke to her parents, and they were like, she was adopted, so her family. And they were like, no, you can't get married in a month. And I was like, what do you mean? And they made us wait 10 months. It's the longest 10 months. But I remember the build up to the day, you know, the day comes, and some of you just got married and come back from there's this huge build up. And I remember on the day of the wedding, just standing in the front of this church and waiting. And she was so late, I thought she'd got cold feet. And then she appeared. And I remember standing in the front and seeing her and thinking, I cannot believe that this woman has chosen me. I cannot believe that I'm going to spend the rest of my life with her. And it was, for me, it felt like heaven was open and that the Father had given me this gift. And I remember just standing there in awe of how beautiful she was as she stood there, and how in awe of the moment, just of how big this was, that she was the one out of everyone in the planet. She was the one that was mine, and I was going to be hers. It was such a powerful, I would argue, one of the most powerful things I had ever experienced as I stood there and saw her, and as we made our vows with one another. And you know, I remember thinking, this is probably one of the best days of my life. And still today, it probably was. And the Bible actually talks about this, because the Bible understands, God understands what love is. I mean, He is love. He made us so that we can love. And He uses this very picture of marriage. He uses this picture of this love between one man and one woman. And Paul picks up on this in his letter to the Ephesians, in Ephesians 5:31-32. And he says, he's talking about this mystery of marriage and man and woman and coming together. And he says, therefore a man will leave his father and mother and hold fast to his wife, and the two will become one flesh. In other words, when you found the one, you prepare to leave father and mother. This is leaving everything that you know, everything that you had. This is reorganizing your entire existence. Up until then, you know, Israeli kids would have been with mom and dad, and now everything changed. Every relationship was about to change because one person had come into their world. And that kind of happens with us too. How many of you know you're single, and then when you get married, you suddenly have a whole new bunch of friends, and some of the old friends just can't follow you through that because there's something new that's created, this new unit, this new thing. And so this wonder of this one person finding this one person, the beauty of marriage, the beauty of this kind of love. And then he says, this mystery is profound. And I am saying that it refers to Christ and the church. In other words, arguably the most powerful experience we will know of human love is finding that one person. It will change our existence. And Paul says, if you think that's something, that's a shadow of something better. The shadow points to something. Actually, the real thing is the love that humans and God will have for one another. It makes marriage seem like a shadow of the real. The marriage isn't even the big thing. The real big thing is how God would feel about you and how you will feel about God. What is the most important thing? To love God with everything. This is the picture that Paul and the Bible wants us to have, that we will love God. There was a song years ago. Remember when Enya was really small, we used to drive in a car, and she used to love the singer Misty Edwards, who's now. And Misty used to sing the song, God is a lover looking for a lover, and He's chosen me. God is a lover looking for a lover. Did you know and think about God as a lover? I think so often we think of Him as this powerful, all-creative being, and He is that. But actually, intrinsically, the Bible says more than all of those things, God is love. And love is emotion. Love is faithfulness. Love is filled with feeling. Love is filled with passion. Love is filled with, and this is intrinsically who God is. If you don't see God this way, you don't properly understand Him. God is the ultimate picture of what love is. He is a picture beyond human love. He is the fullness of that picture. And the Bible's consistent about this. In fact, I would say that the whole Bible, the whole of God's dealing with man, is ultimately God trying to find a lover. God trying to find a bride from humanity. God trying to find someone who He can love and who will love Him back. And it's everywhere. I mean, it's literally all through the Bible. But I mean, one of the beautiful books and one of the beautiful places God speaks about this, just to give an example, is Hosea chapter 2, verse 20. And this whole book is really written about and I shouldn't go here too much, but the book is written about a man who's a good man, and God tells him to marry a really broken woman. She's a prostitute, and she's kind of just fallen out of her world, and she's a very broken lady, and she's been unfaithful and hasn't kept herself. And God says, I want you to marry her. And Hosea's a prophet, and God, he's a bit freaked out like God, but she's a sinner. And God says, yes, but my people are just like her. I want you to be a picture of what I feel. I want you to be a picture to all humanity of what the church, what people are like, and what I'm like. And the whole book, the book of Hosea, is really written from this heart of a broken-hearted God who is trying to find a bride for himself, a woman to love, and how we as humans just don't get it right. And Hosea gets his heart broken over and over again because broken people break things. And his wife makes bad choices and leaves him at one point and goes back to prostitution. And he's just freaked out. And God says, go and take her back. And he's like, I don't want to take her back. And God says, go take her back because this is what I'm dealing with my people, because I have to take her back over and over and over again because she's so unfaithful to me. Go love her again. And at one point, God says this in Isaiah 2, verse 20 about us, about you and me. He says, I will betroth you to me in faithfulness, and you'll know the Lord. Betrothal is this picture of what happens when we get engaged to be married. God says to humans, I will betroth you to me in faithfulness, and you'll know me. And again, through this book, God is trying to tell humanity, I am a God who loves, and I'm a God who's looking for those who would love me back. The most important thing is to love me as I love you. You look at creation. I mean, we were just driving around this country, and I mean, I've seen Scotland, I've seen New Zealand. They're probably the two most beautiful countries that I'd seen before this nation properly. And I would argue this nation is more beautiful than anything I've seen there. There were times that I would look at things and just, this is so beautiful. And the Bible says he created all of this for us. And the point of it was actually so that he could find a bride for himself. Everything we see, everything we know was made so that God could find a lover. Song of Solomon is a book in your Bible that the entire book, the book is written kind of about this man and this woman, this king and this woman who fall in love. But actually that's not what the book's about. Song of Solomon is an entire book who both Jewish scholars and Christian scholars are fully agreeing on. This book is really written about how God feels about his people and how his people are supposed to feel about him. It's a picture of this relationship of love. Remember, Paul speaks about marriage and man and woman. He says, actually, this is the shadow. The real thing is Christ and the church. Song of Solomon is this love dance between a man and a woman, between God and between his people. And I just want you to listen to some of the language. This is her. This is the church speaking about God. Let him kiss me with the kisses of his mouth. For your love is better than wine. In other words, when you kiss me, my senses swim. It's like I'm drunk. You blow my mind. You move me to a point that it's like I'm drunk with wine. Then he responds. And this is a backwards and forwards dance. Song 1, verse 5. Behold, you are beautiful, my love. Behold, you are beautiful. Your eyes are doves. In other words, he's looking at us and he's going, are you beautiful? Are we going to know you beautiful? He goes on, Song 4, verse 9 to 11. He's speaking to us. You have captivated my heart, my sister, my bride. You have captured my heart with one glance of your eyes, with one jewel of your necklace. How beautiful is your love, my sister, my bride. How much better is your love than wine. In other words, you make my head swim like I've drunk wine. And the fragrance of your oils than any spice. Your lips drip nectar, my bride. Honey and milk are under your tongue. The fragrance of your garments is like the fragrance of Lebanon. I love your eyes, your kiss, your smell. You make you feel like I've got drunk with wine when I'm with you. The Bible uses this picture of us in this relationship and this picture of this bride for God. And actually, the Bible culminates, the end of the Bible culminates with this marriage between us and God, this bride that's made herself ready. And in Revelation chapter 19 verse 7, the very last book of the Bible, right down to the last closing chapters of all that will be given by God, we've got this picture the Bible gives us of this marriage feast, the ultimate marriage feast, the one that everything else points towards and everything else is building towards. And it's this: let us rejoice and exult and give God glory, for the marriage of the Lamb has come, and his bride has made herself ready. The point of creation, the point of everything, is this marriage between the bride and Jesus, God. That is the point of it all. This is the point of everything. The point of the cross, the point of Adam, the point, everything. That God would find a bride for himself, a person to love, and a person who would love him back. What is the most important thing? To love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength. You know, I used to, when I was young, I remember being a teenager, and as a teenager, music is very powerful. And I used to listen to love songs, those crooning love songs, and I used to allow I was like 13, 14, and just very conscious of girls for the first time, and listen to these songs that would come across the radio. And in those days it was still a radio, now it's like MP3s, and I don't know what else. I can't keep up with everything at the moment. But the songs encapsulate this love, don't they? Most of the songs we listen to talk about this love between a man and a woman. And I was thinking of like John Legend, he, in his album Love in the Future, which is 2013, he writes a song, All of Me, which is probably the most famous song that he wrote. And he wrote it to his wife, Chrissy Teigen, who was a supermodel, and they got married. And he writes this song to her because of how he feels about it. This is a song dedicated to that one person. And I love the words. Listen to the words that he speaks in the song. He says, I am so dizzy. I don't know what hit me, but I'll be all right. My head's underwater, but I'm breathing fine. You're crazy and I'm out of my mind, because all of me loves all of you. In other words, you make my head swim. He's effectively saying what we read about just now. Your love is better than wine. You make my head swim. Who's felt love like that towards a person? And this is a shadow of what God's looking for in our relationship to him. Listen to the language of those that have loved God through the ages. Listen to King David in Psalm 63 verse 1. Just listen to this through the lens of a lover and his groom. Oh God, you are my God. Earnestly I seek you. My soul thirsts for you. My flesh faints for you, as in a dry and weary land where there is no water. Who's fallen in love and the thought of not being with that person is like, I feel like I'm dying every minute I'm not with you. I feel like I'm so thirsty. My soul is so thirsty to be with you. It's like I'm parched because I need your presence. This is what he's saying. God, I feel like I'm dying when I'm not found in your presence. I need to be found with you. This yearning for God with all of my heart. And so I wonder if we realize how important this is to God. I mean, it is. What is the most important thing? Well, to love me, God says. This is the most important thing. And so one of the things about love isn't just something that I feel, it's something that I show. Like when I fell in love with MC, I wanted her to know it. I wanted her to know it very well. Like I was a little bit nervous because your heart can get broken, but I wanted her to know that I had set my affections on it. Well, my affections kind of had a mind of their own at that point. Yeah. And as as I've been married to her now, and it's 31 years, I've learned more and more her love language, because I had no idea in those days what it was. Like, I thought she would love what I love, and that's just the biggest lie ever. Like, when you get married, you learn what your spouse loves, and invariably, I think God gives us people that are very different from us, because we learn how to love them, and part of loving is actually letting her know that I see her, that I appreciate her, that I love her. And it's quite interesting, little things that I've learned are her love language, the ways that she knows that I love her. And there's things that I can do, that I can see. It's like a little bank account that I put in her. Like, she knows that what I'm doing is because of how I feel about her. And every time I invest my love in her and I do things, I learn her love language, I can see something happens in her of a response to me. Have you noticed that? And so little things for her, she needs to be noticed. She needs to see that I see her. That I'm not just so busy with life, but that actually I notice her, that she still takes my breath away. One of the things with her, just I still don't get, but it's her love language is, man, she's like a clean house kind of person, and I'm not. Like, I could leave my jocks on the floor, and it's just like whatever. But that's not her love language. And so little things that I will do, which if I was living as a bachelor, I would just do whatever. But now, because I love her, I want her to know that I love her. So I do things for her that as I'm doing, sometimes she'll see me cleaning, and she knows I'm cleaning this part of the house because I love her. And in some ways, I see her respond to me. Time, listening to her. And my love language is a bit simpler. She said to me this weekend, she's going to kill me for saying this, because she says to me, babes. Now I'm going to share this. Babes, I want to buy some sexy underwear for you. Which one would you like? And there's a part of me that, and this may sound, but if you go read Song of Solomon, he literally talks about your breasts. He talks about, there is a sense, she's going to kill me for this, but there was like, which would you like me to wear? And I know that's not what she wants. She's not going to go and buy herself those things. She's going to buy those things for me. It's love language. It's the things that we do for our spouse because we value them and we appreciate them. Ladies, take notes. This is good. It's learning the love language of the one you love. And it's when you do things that you wouldn't normally do because you love them, you're actually demonstrating love and you're sowing love into the relationship. Now, God needs nothing, but God wants our love. And it's interesting, one of the ways that we show love for Him is worship. And I want to present worship in a way a little bit differently to how maybe we would think about it. Worship. You know what worship is? Worship is really the response of those who've learned His love language. Worship is a response of seeing something or someone that you love and absolutely adoring it. In the book of marriage vows in the Anglican Church, funny enough, a book of common prayer, which is an old book that Anglicans used to use when they used to marry in the old days. The language has changed, but I love the old language that the early Anglican Church kind of built this thing of marriage vows. And what will a man say to the woman when they become one? And what will the woman say to the man? And in the marriage vows, in the book of common prayer, the man at one point in the marriage vow, standing in front of the entire community that's there to watch this shadow of the real, he says this to her in the marriage vows: with this ring I thee wed, with my body I thee worship, and with all my worldly goods I thee endow. With my body I thee worship. It almost seems sacrilege to say that to a person. But if we understand what worship is, we understand that this is the shadow of the real. And worship, according to Merriam-Webster's dictionary, is to regard with great or extravagant respect, honor, or devotion. In other words, when I look at her and I say, you are beautiful, your hair, your smell, your eyes, Emps, what am I doing? I'm worshiping her. And this is a good worship. This is not a bad worship. This is appreciating and honoring the one that I love. And so the vows would be, I'm going to worship you with my body. You'll never take the place of God, but you're a picture in some ways of my relationship to him. And that's what love songs do. They worship. Remember Elvis Presley? I've picked some old ones because there's a whole range of people here. And I can't help falling in love with you. What's that? It's worship. When I look at you, I can't help falling in love with you. Frank Sinatra, the way you look tonight. Whitney Houston, I will always, I think Dolly Parton did this too, I will always love you. Top Gun, you take my breath away from Berlin. You take my breath away when I see you. And songs have consistently through the years pictured a man and a woman looking at one another and worshiping. You are beautiful, your eyes, your hair. And this is the shadow of the real. This is what God is looking for. And what is worship in church? Well, it's that. It's coming to God and saying, God, you are beautiful in all your ways. There's no one else in all the world like you. You've captured my heart. How can I live without you? You make my head swim like I've drunk too much wine, God. What is it? It's this expression of love between a lover and the one that he or she loves. And the Bible encourages us to do this. I mean, Psalms 33, verse 2 to 3, give thanks to the Lord with a lyre, make melody to him with a harp of 10 strings. In other words, one of the most romantic things that a guy can do is serenade the one he loves. You see these videos, and I can't sing like that, but a guy gets with his guitar and he wrote a song for the one he loves. What's this? This is doing this with God. Sing to the Lord a new song. Sing to the Lord. This is not for us. Worship isn't for us. It's for him. When we sing worship, it's not for us. It's the lover singing to the one that he or she loves. God, you are beautiful. God, you've captured my heart. Sing to him a new song. Play skillfully on the strings with loud shouts. Notice it's to the Lord. I think so often churches get it all about us. It's not for us. It's to the Lord. It's like me taking MC out on a date and saying, and I think churches do this, you love me so much. And I'm like, seriously? Like this is supposed to be about to the Lord. It's to the one that I love. Now it's about me. It's not about me. It's about you, God. And I love this extravagant love of just, and when you look at those that have loved God, that have grabbed God's heart, because some people have just grabbed God's heart differently to others. One of them was King David. Like God just loved this man because of how this man loved God. And do you know at one point, without God asking him to, he sets up 288 men who will sing to God 24/7 so that God will be worshipped. And just look at this in your Bibles. In 1 Chronicles 25:7, God doesn't ask for this. This is something David does all on his own. The number of the men, along with their brothers, David chooses to sing to the Lord, who are trained in singing to the Lord, all were skillful, was 288. And he sets up a roster that 24/7, 7 days of the week, for the rest of his life, and after he's dead, there'll be someone worshiping God 24/7. What's interesting, and again, I've got this picture of me taking, you take someone out to a restaurant and you love them. And so you get these, like, you see sometimes in the movies, these Mexican guys in there and they serenade. And she's sitting there and the whole restaurant's watching and she's being serenaded because of the love that this man has for her. This is what David does effectively. I'm going to get 288 of the best singers I can, and they are going to sing to you, God, all the time because I love you that much. And in 1 Chronicles 6 verse 30, they ministered with music before the tabernacle, the tent of meeting, until Solomon built the temple of the Lord in Jerusalem. So even after David's dead, this thing carries on. They performed their duties according to the regulations laid down for them by David. And this is interesting. It's before the tabernacle. This is a part of the temple that no one but very few, and a few priests get to go to. It's a holy part of the temple. This is not for Israel. Israel doesn't even know this is happening. This is for God. This is for God. When no one's there, people are sleeping. You beautiful God. You beautiful. You see, church isn't about us, it's about Him. It's all for Him. It's all about Him. And this moves God. So this is what we do. This is the hot response that God is looking for. One of the things we do also, and I'll give you some pointers of how do we love Him, how do we show what's God's love language, how do we let Him know how we feel about Him, because every time we do this, I believe we move His heart. Really, it's like God, we made in His image. When MC does things for me specifically, she moves my heart. This is how we move God's heart. One of the things the Bible says is John 14:15, if you love me, you will keep my commands. You'll obey me. Now, you'll do the things that He loves. That's effectively what He's saying. If you love me, you'll do the things that I love. That's what obedience is. And, I thought about this. In some ways, I do that with MC. If I love her, I do the things that she loves. They become important to me because they're important to her. God says, if you really love me, you'll do the things I love. Because I'm important to you, they become important to you. This is what it is to obey God. It's not some dead obey. It's a response of love. When you love someone, this is what you do. You find what they love. And the cool thing is you do it and they see your offering. They see you laying down your life. They see you doing things because of your love for them. And it actually grows their appreciation of you. In other words, when I do this, God, I'm moving your heart. I'm blessing you. I know I'm doing something. I'm making your head swim like you've drunk wine. That's the language of God to us. I'm making your head swim like you've drunk wine because you're looking at me obeying you and you're going, He's doing that for me. This is how I know He loves me. Talk is cheap. Love is expensive. And so we love Him wildly and extravagantly, expensively. I mean, God's got no need. He's got the cattle on 1,000 hills. Everything I have, He gave me anyway. But sometimes the way we love Him is we give Him things that are extremely expensive to us. We do it with people too, to be honest. The Bible talks about, when we do things, the attitude that we do it is important. So often people are like, oh, the church is all just about money, 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 money. I'm like, seriously, in 2 Corinthians 9:7, God loves a cheerful giver. Why would God love it when I'm giving sacrificially? Because He sees it's an act of love. So when God sees me generously giving more than I can afford to, it moves Him. It's like that little woman who gave all that she had when the Pharisees were dropping, and He sees her sacrifice. It's all that she has. Her love for me is so all-encompassing that she's put in that basket everything that she has. Do you know why the church gets upset? Because, you're just about money all the time. Because they love money more than they love God. Because if we love God, we would willingly, extravagantly throw our money at Him and say, God, 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 you love a cheerful giver. I want you to see the sacrifice that I'm making. I want you to see how much I love you. And we do this in marriage. When you get married, most of us are pretty poor. Remember that? And yet, they say the average engagement ring costs 3 months' labor. That's the average in America right now. 3 months' full salary to give a ring that's got absolutely no purpose when you should be buying washing machines and tumble dryers and stoves and furniture. You, in extravagant love, save up all that you have, 3 months' salary. I think the average at the moment is $5,500 US. That's average across this nation. And not everyone lives in California. Most people earn a lot less. That's the average. Why? Because love is always extravagant. Love is always extravagant. Generous extravagance. And I love, You King David, listen to this. This is not required again, but King David is this picture of one who loves God. And in 1 Chronicles 29:21, he says this. This is what he does. And they offered sacrifices to the Lord. And on the next day, offered burnt offerings to the Lord. 1,000 bulls. There's no need for the sacrifice. This is not something God's asking for. 1,000 bulls, 1,000 rams, 1,000 lambs, with their drink offerings and sacrifices in abundance. What does David do? This is God, I love you, and I want you to see it. 1,000 bulls, 1,000. What's he doing? God, this is like my wedding ring to you. I am showing you that I love you more than anything else. I can't wait to give to you. I can't wait to pour my life out to you because you've won my heart, God. You're worth more than all of these things. I count them worth nothing in comparison with you. And what we don't realize is how it moves God. Do you know Noah, at one point in the Bible, man is bad. It's like the worst man's been, and they're sleeping with angels, and they're doing demonic things. And at one point, God decides, I've got to destroy this planet because it's just that bad. So he destroys the planet, and he puts one man and his family in a boat, Noah. And he gives Noah two of every animal, but of animals that Noah can eat, he gives them extra. He says, you can take extra animals, because by taking these extra animals, at least when the flood's over, you're going to have something to eat. So this is like survival. And after the flood, everything's destroyed. You must understand, everything's going to start again. You've got two of every and a few extra animals. They've got to breed, otherwise that species dies out. And Noah, after the earth is flooded, in Genesis 8, verse 20 to 21, listen to what he does. Then Noah built, this is not asked for by God. God doesn't ask for this. In fact, God has provided Noah with a few animals to keep him alive. And Noah takes these very animals, and he built an altar to the Lord, and took some of every clean animal and some of every clean bird, and offered burnt offerings on the altar. In other words, God, this is all I've got to survive on. The earth is destroyed, and you've given me these few animals to keep me alive. But God, I love you. So I'm going to give you an offering that costs me so much. My survival might depend on this. And he offers them on an altar to God. And when the Lord smelt the pleasing aroma, the Lord said in his heart, I will never again curse the ground because of man. For the intentions of man's heart is evil from his youth. Never will I ever again strike down every living creature as I've done. What does God do? God responds to his worship. God responds to his love and says, I could never destroy humans again. Because of what you've done. You're the reason why I made humans. And he changes the way he'll deal with humanity. Because one man loves him sacrificially, wildly, and generously. Did you know you can move God's heart like that? There's something about this that blesses God. I love, and I'll tell you the story, we don't have time, I need to wrap this. In 1 Chronicles 21, David's about to build the temple, and God's told him he can't build the temple, but his son will. But David wants to prepare everything. So he realizes this piece of land is the land that I'm going to build it on. So he goes to the guy that owns the land and says, look, I want to buy this land from you. You know, give it. How much will you sell it to me for? I'm going to build a temple for God. And the man says, his name is Onan, and he says, you know what? You're the king, and this is for God. I'll give you the land. And in fact, I'm plowing at the moment. I know you're going to make sacrifices. I'll give you the bulls and the wood that you're going to need, even to make sacrifices to God. And you would think, David would go, thank you, Jesus, for providing what I don't have to pay for. You've provided now. I'm going to do this. And David says, and I love what he says this in verse 24 of chapter 21. But King David said to Onan, no, but I will buy them for the full price. I will not take for the Lord what is yours, nor offer burnt offerings that cost me nothing. There is no ways. I want to buy this. I want him to know that I paid for this. I want him to see my heart. I want him to see that this is my love for him. I'm not going to take what he provides and say thank you. I want this to cost me. And if we love God, it costs us. Just like it's going to cost us to love a person. I want this to hurt me. You see, when the offering of love costs me, it's worth more to the one that I love. And so sometimes when we're in our relationship with God, it's like, God, I want to give you an offering, and I want to do it crazily, cheerfully. I want this to hurt me because I want you to see that I love you. Lastly, we show my love by caring for his loves. You know, sometimes in a broken world, we marry a person who was once married or maybe not sexually pure, and they've got kids. And if you love this person, you love what this person loves. You marry kids, you marry family, and you start to become that to that family. Because of your love for the person, you love every single person that this person loves and his values, don't we? You see, when you come to God and you love him, one of the ways that you demonstrate his love is loving what he loves. And what does he love? Well, look around you. Look around you. We love God by loving his people. In fact, he said in Matthew 25:40, truly I say to you, as you did to one of the least of these of my brothers, you did it to me. And it's one of the ways we show our love for him is by loving those that are part of his community, his family, his people. And this is what was asked. Jesus, what is the most important thing? Well, to love God with everything. And then Jesus actually answers with the second most important thing. And to love your brother, to love your neighbor. In other words, if you love him, show it by how you love the community around you. You see, this concept of going to a church because you like the worship team or you like the teacher is so self-centered. We go to church to love those that he loves. Because as we love those that he loves, we show him that we love him. And what we do for the least of them, we did it for him. You know, again, I'm going to unashamedly give a slam for hosting. If Jesus was pulling in when our conference is happening and he needed someone to stay, imagine Jesus physically appeared, because he has done that before. I need someone to stay because I'm coming to this conference. Who would open their home? Anyone? I think most of us would give up our beds. True? I could sleep in the garage. I'll sleep in the car. You stay in my house. What you did for the least, these ones of mine, you did it for me. You see, you showed me that you love me when you loved what I loved. So love one another. He says, as I have loved you, because this is how you show him love. This is when you forgive someone that's hurt you. You're showing him you love him. Yeah. And so this picture of marriage is this picture of our relationship to God. And the bride, the Bible says, is making herself ready. We're being made ready for this day that he'll return. And on that day, we will be married to him. And now we're separated, but then we'll see him face to face. Then all that we've done in this world stands as the robes that we wear. We have made ourselves beautiful for him. On that day, we have shown our love for him by our lives. Do you love him? Do you love him? Like, is it emotional, not just duty? You know, you can do things out of duty, but marriage done out of duty sucks. If you're just going through the motions in your marriage, you've lost something so beautiful that God meant you not to have something so much more. If you're just sleeping next to the same person and eating with them and just going, if you've lost the romance, if you haven't kept sowing into things, you've lost something so beautiful that God wants you to have. You're still supposed to think, babes, when you come home, I'm going to be dressing up in that sexy lingerie. Or, babes, when you come home, I'm going to have cleaned the house for you and I'm going to have made supper. I'm going to do things because I love you. I'm going to demonstrate my love for you. We know the shadow, but realize that God is looking for all of your heart, all of your mind, all of your strength. He wants you to know him and he wants you to love him in a way more powerful than you could ever love any human being, because ultimately you were made for him before you were made for any other person. He made you for himself, and he loves you with a love like no other person can never love you. The Bible tells us, for God so loved the world. So I loved you.